Hey peeps, welcome to another video. So today I thought I would talk about how the commission process works and what stages I go through when I'm making a made-to-measure dress for somebody. So generally how it happens is someone will come into the shop. I tend to have half of my wardrobe actually at the shop on the racks with tags on it saying how much the dress would cost and that it's made to measure and that it's a sample only. I've had quite a few people try and buy my dresses. So they'll have a look through the racks and I explain to them that they can have it made to measure, so if they want to make any tweaks like adding sleeves or raising a neckline or changing a waistband, etc, that's completely possible. I also tell them that I can copy, say they, for example, they have a dress that they love, that they wear very often and they know fits them very well. I can copy that for them and just make it up in different fabrics. And so we talk about the kind of silhouette that they want and I give them an idea of how much time each type of dress would make. I have a whole price list of shirt dresses, normal, just a dress, coats, waistcoats, skirts, tops, etc. That price is just for me, and then the cost of the fabric and materials is added on top, and that's determined by a process where if a customer falls in love with a fabric that I have in stock, they can order that themselves. I'll cut them the length, I will pre-wash it for them and then start creating with it. Or if I don't have anything in stock that they love, I will give them a couple of websites to have a look at, tell them the types of fabrics to look through, and they will come back to me and say, oh, I like this one and this one, what would work? And we did talk through that process that way. Depending on the type of dress that they've picked and the type of look that they want to go for, it will vary on the number of websites that I will give them, but I generally tend to try and give them maybe 2 at the max 3 so that they don't get overwhelmed. So once we've picked the style of dress that they want and the kind of fabric we want, we then work on to patterns. So I use a lot of Lacala because you can enter somebody's actual measurements and it's a made to measure pattern that is designed for those exact measurements, and it says on Lacala that you can use those for commercial purposes, so I can sell the item that I make with that dress. If it's an indie pattern or a something like a Vogue or a Butterick or a McCall's, what I will actually do is I will buy a copy of the pattern for the customer. So with the dress that I made for Sarah, which I still don't have a photo of, so I will show you as soon as I can. She really liked a dress that she saw in Net-a-Porter, so we went through and we picked out the bits that she liked about it, and we actually ordered the Lily Sage and Company Sea Change top because that was the kind of bodice that she really liked, and then I paired that with a Lacala skirt. So the Lily and Sage Sea Change top that I've bought, that PDF, that is actually Sarah's. So if I was to make a similar dress for somebody else, I would go and I would buy another copy of that PDF pattern. So I buy that way I am, the pattern company is getting revenue for every item made, because I'm not just using one pattern, buying one pattern and then saying, oh yes, I can make you a million dresses from this for different people. So I will buy, say for example, somebody liked a by hand London dress, the Flora for example, I will now go and buy, I have a copy, the actual physical printed pattern, but I will buy a PDF pattern for that new commission, and that pattern belongs to the customer. I then obviously go over if they want lining, if they want that kind of stuff, and then for threads and zips and stuff like that, I use obviously my own knowledge, and I will add all that up and give them a total for the cost of materials, so that they know that the final dress is going to cost X amount because I cost this much, materials cost this much, that's what they're going to end up paying. Then what happens is I will make them a muslin. So it's usually out of calico, and sometimes I will use different fabrics if For example, with if the drape is important, calico obviously has you know, an awful drape, but it's great for me to manipulate and draw all over, which is a whole bunch of fun. But I will sometimes use different fabrics, but I'll make a muslin. If they live on the island, which majority of my customers do, I will get them to come in for a fitting. As I say, I get to draw all over it, so we get to like take things in and just adjust and, you know, make sure that the strap lengths they're okay. If things need taking in a little bit, that all gets drawn on there, just so that I have the references for when I create the final pattern for making the final item. If, however, the customer doesn't live on the island, I will then post the muslin to them, and I get them to have photos taken from the front with their arms dead straight on, standing up straight, front, side and back. And then if they have any queries, like the last one I sent out, she wanted the straps moved over for where her bra sat on her, which was completely understandable, and it just needed tweaking slightly, but it did need to be moved over. So she just sort of drew on it herself where she would like that. She drew on, pulled the straps up to the length that she wanted, and then the rest of it fit really well straight out of the packet. But then that wasn't a surprise because it was a Lacala pattern, so it was printed out with her measurements. So once I've gotten those photos back, I actually do ask the customer to return the muslin to me so that I can have the physical thing in my hand with all of the notes that they've made actually on it, and I can transfer those back to the final pattern. Once I'm happy with that, I will then cut out the final material. And generally what I like to do is make up a bodice and have that in for a final fitting as well. We'll usually add the skirt. If the muslin stage has gone really well and it looked perfect and all it needed was the straps like shortening, then I will go ahead and finish the dress. If there are a few little bits and pieces that I want to tweak, I will finish it to a point where the zip's in, and then I can tweak everything, and then I will finalise the garment and sew the linings in and that kind of thing. So yeah, once the garment's finished, I will have the customer come back in for a final fitting, get them to try everything on, make sure that they're happy with everything, make sure that they're comfortable wearing the dress or the waistcoat or the coat, or etc, etc. If there's any final tweaks that they'd like made, and once they're happy, then they pay their final balance. Yeah, there's a deposit taken at the beginning, a deposit for me. All the fabrics and patterns, etc, etc, is also payable at the beginning of the process, and then they can choose to pay chunks off in between, or they can pay for the final amount on the final fitting, the day they get to take their item home with them. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That is how the made to measure commission process works for me personally. So I hope you found that interesting. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, and I shall see you again very soon. Bye! I thought I would talk about, do I need to get changed? No. Which is why, obviously I use it. God, I'm being a twit. No. Oh my god! I'm tired! No more cross legs. Oh, dead leg, dead leg.